Why are there such a range of responses to Queen Elizabeth's death? Queen Elizabeth II, who ruled the British Empire for the longest period of time, died at the age of 96, ending a 7-decade reign. Given the Queen's advanced age and poor health, this was something that people who followed the royal family partially anticipated. The resurgence of criticism of the British Empire and its history of colonialism was another anticipated outcome of her death. Netizens, it goes without saying, lived up to the latter expectations, as the Queen's demise also brought with it many reminders of the wrongdoings of the British Crown. Leaders from throughout the world expressed their deep sadness at the Queen's demise. A large portion of Britain has also been covered in a mourning cloak. For instance, an England-South Africa test match has been postponed. After all, Britain will experience a change in the monarchy for the first time in almost a century. More than that, they will miss her as the national icon of the country. The Queen's presence and her responses to everything that happened within the family were among the elements that attracted this interest. Over the years, people's affection and fascination for the royal family have only gotten stronger. The absence of her will undoubtedly be felt not just by those who currently surround the British royal family and the monarchy, but also by people who view them as symbols of authority. Death is not something to be celebrated, unless perhaps it is the legal passing away of a person who has committed horrific crimes. But what if the deceased, while guilty, was never put on trial for those crimes? What if the individuals who liked that person were so uninformed as to deny their guilt and crimes? This is precisely what prompted the negative responses to the Queen's passing, and rekindled the criticism of the royal family as a whole. This complaint is succinctly stated in an article by NBC News. It focuses on how individuals from nations that the British previously colonized have developed a hate for the Queen and the royal family. Millions of people were formerly killed or forced to flee their homes due to the British, especially those from the Caribbean, Africa, and South Asia. They made hurried decisions when leaving former colonies, which contributed to ongoing issues like the Kashmiri conflicts and the tens of thousands of enclaves left along India and Bangladesh's borders. However, the fact that neither Queen Elizabeth nor any other member of the royal family ever apologized for the crimes committed by the British imperial government in the past was what was most to blame for this criticism at the time of her death. She donned a crown studded with stolen diamonds from one of Britain's many colonies, but she never felt it would be politically advantageous to apologize for them. There is no way that Queen Elizabeth could be held solely accountable for all the crimes carried out by the British Empire through the years. The British government made decisions in numerous instances without her direct input, but because she served as the figurehead, everyone looked to her for direction and finally vented their frustration and resentment at her. They must realize that all of this involves much more than they now realize. The scenario was expertly addressed by Professor Matthew Smith of University College London in the aforementioned NBC News report. He asserted that when individuals express those opinions, they are not necessarily considering Queen Elizabeth. They are contemplating the institution of the British monarchy and its connection to oppressive, repressive, and forced labor practices. They frequently react in response to that, and that is a system that is independent of the monarchy headed by Queen Elizabeth.